Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today we're diving into a classic fear from movies and adventure stories. What if you fall into quicksand? For many people, quicksand feels like a deadly trap. You step on it, sink instantly, and disappear forever. Hollywood has shown it that way for decades. But in reality, quicksand is not exactly what you might think. Quicksand forms when water saturates an area of loose sand, turning it into a soupy mixture that acts like a liquid, but still has the weight of solid ground. It looks stable from above, but when you step on it, your foot sinks. The sand and water move around you, and suddenly, it feels like you're trapped. But here's the surprising part. Quicksand isn't usually deep enough to swallow a person whole. Most patches are just a few feet deep. What makes it dangerous isn't the depth. It's the way it holds on to you. The more you struggle, the tighter it grips, making escape almost impossible without the right technique. So, what would really happen if you stumbled into quicksand, and how could you survive? So, what happens when you actually fall into quicksand? At first, you step onto what looks like normal ground. The surface seems firm, but the moment your weight presses down, the mixture of sand, clay, and water gives way. Your foot sinks, and as you shift your balance, the other foot follows. In just seconds, you're trapped waist-deep in a heavy, soupy mess. Quicksand is tricky because it's a non-Newtonian fluid. That means it changes its behavior depending on pressure. When you push down hard, for example, by panicking and struggling, the sand particles lock together, making the mixture thicker and denser. Instead of pulling free, your body sinks even deeper. The pressure of quicksand is also surprising. Just moving one leg feels like trying to lift it out of wet cement. Scientists estimate it can take the same amount of force as lifting a small car just to pull a trapped leg free. But here's the important detail. Unlike in the movies, quicksand won't drag you under completely. Human bodies are less dense than the mixture, so you'll float once you stop struggling. The danger isn't being swallowed. It's exhaustion, dehydration, or drowning if quicksand forms near rising water. The most important rule if you fall into quicksand is simple. Don't panic. The instinct to thrash around, pull your legs hard, and fight against the sand will only make things worse. Remember, quicksand resists sudden force. The harder you push, the deeper you go. Instead, the key is to move slowly and spread out your weight. Imagine leaning back and trying to float, almost like you're lying in a swimming pool. By increasing the surface area of your body, you reduce how deeply you sink. Your chest and arms help keep you above the surface, even if your legs are still stuck. Once you've stabilized, the next step is to free your legs one at a time. Here's how. 1. Wiggle your leg gently to let water seep into the sand around it. This loosens the grip. 2. Pull slowly, not forcefully, while keeping your movements calm. 3. Once one leg is free, spread it outward to keep from sinking again, then repeat with the other. If you're carrying a heavy bag or equipment, drop it. Extra weight only pulls you down faster. Another trick is to roll onto your back once your upper body is free. This way, you float on the surface and can slowly paddle toward firmer ground. Real danger comes if you fall into quicksand near a riverbank, a swamp, or the ocean. Rising water can turn a survivable situation into a drowning hazard. That's why explorers, hikers, and soldiers are trained to act fast but carefully. Stay calm, lighten your load, float, and crawl to safety. Quicksand has terrified people for centuries, but most of its reputation comes from stories, myths, and Hollywood adventure movies. In reality, quicksand is rarely as deadly as we imagine. For example, explorers in the Amazon rainforest have reported stepping into quicksand, But instead of being swallowed alive, they usually sink to their knees or waist before realizing they're stuck. With patience and careful movement, they often manage to escape. The real risk is not suffocation. It's exposure to the elements, wild animals, or rising water while you're trapped. In coastal areas, quicksand can be more dangerous. On tidal flats in places like England or the Netherlands, quicksand forms when seawater mixes with fine silt. Hikers and fishermen have sometimes become trapped, and when the tide rises, they risk drowning. Rescue teams often use ropes, planks, or even suction devices to pull victims out safely. There are also reports from deserts where flash floods create temporary quicksand pits. Travelers and animals can get caught, but again, sinking entirely is almost impossible. Instead, exhaustion, panic, and dehydration are the true killers. So why do we believe quicksand is so deadly? The answer lies in movies and TV shows from the mid-20th century, where quicksand was used as an easy plot device to create suspense. It became a cultural fear, even though scientists have shown that humans naturally float in quicksand once they stop struggling. So what if you fall into quicksand? The truth is, it's not the instant death trap that movies make it out to be. You won't be swallowed whole and you won't vanish into the ground. Instead, quicksand is more like a slow, sticky prison that punishes panic and rewards patience. The science is clear. Quicksand is a mixture of sand, clay, and water that acts like a liquid under stress. If you thrash around, you sink deeper. If you stay calm, spread out, and move gently, your body will naturally float, and you'll have a much better chance of escape. In fact, quicksand teaches us a bigger lesson about survival in nature. It's not always the environment itself that is the greatest danger. It's how we react to it. Fear and panic can turn a manageable situation into a deadly one, while knowledge and calm thinking can save your life. So next time you see a scene in a movie where the hero sinks dramatically into quicksand, you'll know the truth. In real life, survival is possible, as long as you know the science and keep your cool.